Hi everyone, welcome back to Book Talk Tuesdays. I'm Miss Jessica and I'm a youth and teen librarian at the Chelsea District Library. And this is our video show all about brand new books to read for kids ages 8 to 12. And today I have a super special edition. I am looking at excellent audiobooks. I know spring break is coming up, so here are some really fantastic audiobooks you can listen to with the whole family if you're going somewhere for a road trip or know you're going to be taking some short day trips, if you're going to be in the car for a while, for any length of time. I have some great audiobooks you can listen to all together. So most of these books are available as a book on CD, so if you have a CD player in your car, you can check them out and listen to them that way. They're also available on the Libby app, or you might hear it called the Overdrive website as downloadable audiobooks. And some of these are available on the Hoopla app as well, which is another type of downloadable audiobook you can listen to. So I'll let you know how you can find each of these books and the best way to check them out. The first one I have is so new, we haven't even put all the stickers and the barcode stuff in it yet. It's called Twilight Hauntings by Angie Sage. And if you recognize this author's name, you know you're in for an amazing fantasy story. This book is one of a new duology, so there's going to be two books, and the second book is actually out already. So Twilight Hauntings is the first one, and the series name is Enchanter's Child. Enchanter's Child. The prologue describes how 10 years before the main story takes place, a couple had to give up their baby girl as they escaped the kingdom for their own safety. Then we jump back to the main events and to the main character, Alex. And she knows absolutely nothing about her family. She doesn't know where she came from. She doesn't know anything about her parents at all. She only has this special deck of cards that are enchanted. They are magical. Unfortunately for Alex, magic is illegal in their kingdom, and she is exposed by her foster sister, and she escapes capture just barely, and now she's on the run from the hauntings, which are these kind of creepy bird-like creatures that are supposed to hunt out any magic and do away with it. So she's determined to find out too what happened to her parents, where these cards came from, and where this illegal magic that she knows about has sort of evolved from, and find out if she could maybe actually be an enchanter's child. Angie Sage is so good at world building. The characters of the hauntings are so creepy. I don't like scary things, and they were almost too much for me, but I finished the book anyway. And this one is about 7.5 hours long. So if you've got a long trip ahead of you, this is going to be a good one to listen to. And Twilight Hauntings is available as the book on CD. It's available on the Libby app, and it's also on the Hoopla app. So you can listen to it 3 different ways. Because it's fairly suspenseful, I would recommend it for families with kids ages 9 and up. And I think everyone is going to be really entertained, even teenagers and grown-ups. So definitely recommend Twilight Hauntings by Angie Sage. My next one is completely different. This is a realistic fiction book called Tune It Out by Jamie Sumner. And I don't normally recommend sad books for road trips because nobody wants to listen to mom or dad sobbing for hours on end as you're driving through cornfields in Iowa. But I would not consider this a sad book, although there are some tough parts to listen to because the ending is so hopeful and uplifting. So this is not Charlotte's Web. You're going to be okay in the car with this one. It's about a girl named Lou, and she's had a really tough life. Her mom performs on the county fair circuit, and so they're constantly traveling around a few states. They actually live in her mom's truck, so that's where they sleep and are based out of on a daily basis. Lou's mom is always telling her that her voice is beautiful too, but Lou really struggles with sounds, even the sound of her own voice, the smack of a high five, the crowded fairs that they're at, and she knows that something isn't right inside her head and her body because sounds just really hurt her. Some things happen and they get separated, and Lou is sent to live with her aunt and uncle, and she gets to start at this really fancy private school where she actually has a lot of support. And through some of her teachers and other staff at the school, she starts to get help, and Lou discovers that she has a sensory processing disorder. And that is why sounds can be so painful and so hard for her to stand sometimes. Lou is starting to adjust to life at her new school and living with her aunt and uncle, and is kind of starting to think that maybe things are going to be okay. Maybe this is not going to turn out as badly as she thought. and that maybe she'll even be able to find the beauty in her voice that her mom has always said was there. So this book is about 5.5 hours long. I think it's a really great choice if you love realistic fiction, and if you love stories with hopeful endings. This is going to be a good one to listen to. And the author's son has a sensory processing disorder, and so the triggers and the things that are painful for Lou are some of the same ones that the author's son experiences as well. So she not only has seen how this affects a child's life, she also has done her research to make sure that the story feels realistic from Lou's point of view too, working with her son. And there's even a discussion guide on the author's website. So you could listen to this in the car, and then if you have a little bit longer to go on your trip, you could pull out that discussion guide and have a book group with your family. And Tune It Out is available as a book on CD and on the Libby app too. So you can listen to it in both places. My next book, I don't have the audiobook. I don't have the book on CD, the case for it. It's called The Secret Keepers by Trenton Lee Stewart. And this book, it's not a brand new book. It's about 4 years old, but to me, it is just the ultimate book for a long cross-country road trip. It is 15 hours long, and it is packed with suspense and lots of cliffhangers. So you will never, ever ask, are we there yet? Or how much longer do we have to go? Because you are not going to want to stop listening to this book. Those are going to be the fastest pit stops at rest areas ever, because you're going to want to get back in the car and keep listening to The Secret Keepers. It's about a boy named Ruben, and he lives in a very poor neighborhood in his city. And he's very good at keeping to himself and hiding. And because of this, he's also good at being sneaky and getting into places he shouldn't necessarily be. One day he's doing a bit of climbing in an alley, and he finds this old clock watch. It sets off this whole chain of events in this huge journey. This watch, he discovers, turns the wearer invisible. You can go anywhere you want. You're invisible. No one can see you. But it also makes you blind. So while you're invisible, you can't see where you're going. So Ruben ends up on a quest to find out what this watch is all about. Where did it come from? And of course, there's a bad guy who wants the watch too. It's a true journey book. So Ruben finds himself trapped on a narrow ledge, many stories above the ground. He finds himself dashing on and off trains in a subway system he barely knows. He finds himself on an island with a lighthouse and a family who might have something to do with the history of this watch. He finds himself trapped in smugglers' caves on the coast with the tide rapidly rising. He even finds himself in this booby-trapped mansion, and it's almost like Mr. Limoncello's library, but like the nightmare version of it you wouldn't want to be stuck in. So if the author wrote The Mysterious Benedict Society, so if you love those books, you'll love this one too, for sure. It also really reminded me of the Green Glass House books, and even the classic book Half Magic, because it takes Ruben a long time to figure out how the magic of this watch actually works, and he goes through some trial and error, and it's a little bit funny at some points too. Because there's a lot of suspense, I would recommend this one for families with kids ages 9 and up. Ruben is okay, but he definitely gets into some sticky situations along the way. And you can find the Story Keepers on the Libby app for download. My next one is completely different. This is the Marvel Storybook collection, and this is perfect for anyone who loves superheroes of any age. So it's by Emily O'Brien, and this is a really fun collection of short stories. So there are 18 original short stories in here. It's about 100 minutes total, so they're really quick, they're really short ones. And they're original, which means you haven't seen these stories anywhere. You haven't seen them in a movie or a TV episode. You haven't read a book of these. These are brand new stories. You're going to find your favorite superheroes here. Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, they're all in here. And what I love about these is that if you're on a road trip, maybe half the family is ready to get out of the car, the other half wants to stay in, you can pop in one of these and you can listen to just a couple stories and then go about the rest of your drive with whatever you were listening to before. So they're short and sweet, good for quick breaks when you just need something to fill your time for a few minutes. And again, good for all ages, little kids up through grown-ups. You can get this as a book on CD, and you can also get them on the Libby app too. Next up is another realistic fiction book. This one is called Something to Say by Lisa Moore Ramey. It's about a girl named Janae, and she's super close to her family, including her mom, her older brother, and her grandpa. But at school, she's kind of a loner. She's very, very quiet. She keeps to herself. She doesn't have any friends, and she likes it that way. She likes just sliding through unnoticed without a lot of expectations for her. Then this new guy shows up at school. His name is Aubrey, and he just won't leave Janae alone. He is just determined to make friends with her. And finally, Janae sort of gives in and is like, I guess having a friend, having a pal at school isn't the end of the world. Might be actually be okay. They get paired together in one of their classes for a debate competition. And Janae suddenly finds herself stuck in a really, really hard place because she wants to support her new friend, Aubrey, who is determined to win this competition and earn himself a place on the debate team. But her biggest fear is public speaking, and she doesn't know how she can go through with this. How can she support her friend and help him achieve his goals, but also kind of protect herself too? She also has some things going on at home. As much as she loves her family, they all seem to have these other expectations for her, and she's not sure how to meet those expectations too. So you really, really feel her struggle in all aspects of her life. You'll have to read this book to see how she solves her problem. It's about 7 hours long, and I would say that this is best for families with kids ages 10 and up because she is in middle school, so it kind of has a middle school feel to the story. And you can get this as a book on CD, and you can listen to it on the Libby app too. All right, my last book, we're also still processing. You can still see my sticker here. It's called Strong Voices, 15 American Speeches Worth Knowing. And it was collected and put together by Tanya Bolden. And this is just an incredible collection. It might be a little odd to listen to on a road trip, but I still think it's worth checking out because it's so cool. Just like the title says, it's a collection of speeches by famous Americans. And I think it would be great for homeschooling families. If you have kids or grown-ups in your household who love learning about history, who are interested in rhetoric, so kind of the art of giving speeches and public speaking, this is going to be a good one to listen to as well. What I love is that it includes speeches throughout America's timeline. So from the Revolutionary War up through modern day, there's over a dozen speeches, so something from every era. And each speech has a short introduction. So I learned while I was listening to this that Patrick Henry's famous speech that includes the line, "Give me liberty or give me death," was most likely improvised. So he made it up on the spot. There is no written record of the speech, no notes or anything he might have written to a colleague in a letter. There's no written record of anything about this speech until 40 years after he gave it. So that is how historians are pretty sure that he did not plan to give that speech, or at least did not plan to say those exact words. It's pretty amazing. So it includes, as I mentioned, Patrick Henry. It includes speeches from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., from George Washington, Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address is on here, Sojourner Truth, lots and lots of great American speeches. I would definitely recommend this for everyone to listen to, even if you're not headed out on a road trip anytime soon. So you can listen to this as the book on CD and also on the Hoopla app as well. So that is going to be a download. So if you have any questions about these audiobooks, if you need help getting the Libby app or the Hoopla app set up before you head out, you can call a librarian at 734-475-8732, extension 219, or email us at ref@chelseadistrictlibrary.org. Thanks for watching.